Greetings and salutations, friends and gamers of all stripes. My name is GM Dave. I am your man behind the screen. And welcome to the third Palanor vlog. Amusingly, I must also say, third time's the charm. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, I've already recorded this twice already. Once a couple of weeks ago, a much shorter version than this is going to end up being, because it was literally just a progress report on the actual progress I made with the game, with no drama attached to it, just a couple announcements, which I'm very happy for, and I'm still going to give you that update. And yes, no drama about the game, no drama outside of work, no interference of anything like that. You know, just progress has been good. Well, I literally also just got done re-recording it again because there was a wider aspect I realized that I wanted to talk about. We'll get into that in a bit. So I just got done re-recording that again, and on playback, I realized that I set my phone down in a bad place when I was recording, and the sound got so muffled that you couldn't hear me. So that was a half hour wasted. Yeah. But my thoughts are a little clearer now after having done that, so we're going to use that to our advantage and hopefully trim the fat a bit, make this a little bit shorter, a little more concise. So before we get started, announcements. First and foremost, Phoenix Rising Chapter 2 finale just went live yesterday at the time of the recording, which is the day after Thanksgiving. And let me say, before continuing, a belated happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Americans out there. I do hope you were able to enjoy it and spend some quality time with some friends or family and enjoy some good food. So, Phoenix Rising Chapter 2 finale went live yesterday. Here, finished up the layout, the coloring, the dialogue, everything. She finished all that stuff early. And decided, because she was very excited and very proud of what she did, and well, deserving of it, because, oh boy, it's the best looking episode we've done yet, it's the longest episode we've done yet. She cranked this thing out lightning fast, you know, given our work schedules and everything, and it looks stunning, it reads stunning, and I'm very, very excited about this one. Because this is not only the finale for Chapter 2 and our last episode of the year, but it's the single longest episode we've ever made since we started this project. And it is the first one that really expands the world and the lore of the setting of Phoenix Rising. And that's exciting for me for two reasons. One, because this is going to open up possibilities for me to explore this even further on down the line, and two, because that directly ties into today's topic, which is naturally Palanor, which is set in the world of Phoenix Rising. Palanor is the world of Phoenix Rising. That is the world it takes place in. So, little note on that, if you want to get a glimpse at what the world of Palanor is like. And mind you, Phoenix Rising is a more family accessible glimpse. I wouldn't say family friendly, but family accessible than what the game is going to be like. I tend to like dark fantasy tropes and things like that, so Palanor, the game, is going to lean a little bit more heavily on those, certainly more so than the comic does. But nonetheless, if you want to get a glimpse and a feel for what that world is like, give a read to Phoenix Rising. And if you just want a good, fun fantasy adventure story that is driven by a cast of engaging and relatable characters, give a read to Phoenix Rising. Just give a read to Phoenix Rising. I'm going to keep harping on you guys with every video that I do about this until I get more people to read it. Just so you know. The other announcement, the last video I made, the one about running political themed games. So, it's still not on Bitchute. Still not on Bitchute, about a week later, maybe a little more than a week later. Still not up there. Because I am yet again having a world of problems getting anything uploaded to that site to work correctly. I have attempted this one more times than I have any other video. Oh, it is... I do like Bitchute, but it is getting very frustrating dealing with these upload bugs. And from what I've been seeing, nobody else that I've spoken to that uses Bitchute seems to have this problem. I'm kind of baffled as to why it is, like why it keeps being such an issue. I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's my computer, but we'll see. I'm still trying to figure it out. So that one still hasn't gone up because of this issue. And I mean, this has been an ongoing fight with me where like I'll end up getting my Bitchute stuff up sometimes 2, 3, 4 days late. I mean, this is the longest it's gone in between, putting the YouTube upload up and then the YouTube or Bitchute upload up. It's still not there because it did not auto-populate, even though one of the ones before it did. And I keep trying. I tried the double upload trick. That hasn't been working. It is a pain in the ass. So I'm going to be looking at the possibility of exploring other upload platforms to have as a backup for my YouTube channel too. A lot of people have been talking about Rumble lately. I've heard some people talk about Odyssey, namely Stick Hexenhammer, who I've been following for a few years and I rather like. He's mentioned Odyssey before. We'll see. I'm just going to have to take a look into a lot of these places to figure out what's going to work best for me. But nonetheless, that upload still isn't up and it's frustrating. But I'm going to be continuing to work on it, hopefully this weekend. Because, hopefully tomorrow I can get it up. But we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. In any case, let's get into it. Let's get into the thick of it. So, Palanor. Let's go ahead and we'll start with the update that I originally recorded a little over a week ago. Progress has gone really well. As I mentioned in the previous Palanor vlog, I mentioned how I was going to be putting together a schedule of uploads. Or not uploads, of what my project's going to be. I have since done that. It's a set weekly schedule where, every night, Monday through Sunday, I'm working on something different. 2 to 3 nights a week minimum on Phoenix Rising, 2 nights a week minimum on Palanor, and then oftentimes weekends as well, particularly weekends where I'm working. Saturdays are just dead at my workplace. Absolutely dead. To the point that this was a big note in the original attempt, or the original recording. Not attempt, it was a good recording. I was all set to use it until I thought about this wider topic. I worked for 2 solid hours at the end of my work day. The last Saturday I worked, which would be a week ago tomorrow. And I got the entire first section of the traits done. The flaws and faults section is finished. It's done. I've got all of them finished, and I've moved on now to traits, which are going to be the different special abilities and feats and all that stuff that are going to be how you build and define your character. That's going to be the way you really customize your character and put them together. Well, that first 2 hours on that last Saturday I worked, I finished the entire background traits subsection. And background traits are going to be the one that obviously tie into your character's background, and the goal is the idea is you're encouraged to actually work out with your GM how this works into your background. And it's different things like kinds of training that you might have had before you started adventuring, different aspects of your character that might have come up because of a life they were forced to live, so on and so forth. Some of the things could even be hereditary traits, things like that. So you're encouraged to work out how that works into your character's background. It is a background trait after all, and if you select a background trait after character creation, I did put it in there as a requirement. You need to work with your GM to find a good reason why your character would develop that trait after they started adventuring as opposed to beforehand. And generally speaking, almost all of them, it should be pretty easy to do that. You know, none of them are so exclusive and so set as this could only possibly happen in your background that you wouldn't be able to do that. Anything that is very clearly something that you would not develop later in life, you know, like low light vision, for example, or the equivalent of dark vision in D&D for, like, you know, drow, for example, they have dark vision because they live their entire lives underground and develop magical vision in order to help them see in that, you know, in the Underdark, which is pitch black. That's something that, you know, both genetically and socially they would have developed. And it's not something they would just learn to do later in their life, which, by the way, side note, was something I absolutely hated and still hate about how Pathfinder 2 handles, they don't call it race anymore. What do they call it? Ancestry Feats. It's like, why would an orc, or why would a half-orc, who previously started with dark vision, because it's something they naturally have, develop dark vision at level 5, you know, however many years older they are than when you would actually develop it, which is when you were born. It doesn't make sense. It's going to be nothing like that. You know, it's all stuff that it is plausible to develop after you've started your adventuring career. I just require that, yeah, you know, I'm making it a requirement in the game. It's like, it's not an option, it's a requirement. You have, if you're going to take a background trait after character creation, you have to work with your GM and figure out a way together that makes sense for why your character learned it later, which should not be hard. So we got those done. Completely. All of them. They're done. I might add a couple more later on, but tentatively, that section is entirely finished. And I've already moved on to the combat traits, which I worked on for an hour and a half or so earlier this week. So we got good progress going on. It's going fairly quick now. And yeah, no drama outside of work. There's been a bit of a slowdown, but it hasn't been due to the Thanksgiving holiday or because of busyness at work. It's more me being introspective that has slowed things down. Because I was watching one of the gaming creators that I enjoy. Specifically, it was Guy Sklanders of How to Be a Great GM. And I don't even remember what his video was about. It was a couple weeks ago. He posted up a video, and it flipped a switch in my head. And this was about a day or two after I had recorded the original version of this. He mentioned something that got me thinking about what my goals with Palanor are. And I don't mean my design goals. I've mentioned previously my design goals were a rules-like rules-like system that is easy to pick up and play and understand, but that offers a lot of depth and creativity for character design and creation for the players and the game masters. That is a system that allows you to kind of interpret different aspects of the rules and make callings based on what you think makes the most sense in the moment as a GM, or to make creative decisions and creative use of the different abilities and skills you have as a player. And, you know, really, if you have a clear idea of the kind of character you want to build, the game will give you the tools to make that by not restricting you to a class while still remaining mechanically simple enough to understand and quick enough to play that it doesn't feel bogged down. That's like my design goal. But that's not what I was starting to think about. I started thinking about what is specifically my goal with this game. What about Palanor? Like, what is it about Palanor that I want to do? What is it with Palanor specifically that I want to do? And really more so, why is it Palanor that I've gotten behind and really just taken hold of the controls of that steam shovel and started going to work on to sort of steal and bastardize the analogy that Stephen King used for his Gunslinger series. Why Palanor? And I don't approach this question from the idea of, oh, you know, why am I doing this game? I'm not really enjoying it. Do I want to just work on something else? Blah, blah, blah. No. I'm still very much enjoying working on Palanor. I'm still very much dedicated and devoted 100%, 110%, 150% to making Palanor happen. I am going to make this game one way or another. It is happening. But, so it's not coming from a place of negativity. It's not coming from the place of, I don't know if I really want to do this. I know for a certainty that I want to do this. 100% certainty, this is what I want to do. So this is coming from the place of, what is it about Palanor that has me going so hard at this? Why is it that despite this year of difficulty, which for many other projects that I've done in the past, something like that killed my enthusiasm, and I didn't really want to work on it, and I just kind of let it die, because it was like, you know, I'm not in the same mindset, I'm not in the same frame of mind, I don't have that same desire and same drive that I did because of XYZ. Why is it that this one isn't getting tired for me? Why is Palanor the one that seems to be working, and what is it about it for me that's making it work? And it all kind of ties in with a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing. So I mentioned earlier, you know, Phoenix Rising, we just released the Chapter 2 finale. And it's the biggest episode we've done yet, and we're expanding the world. And I mentioned that that is the world that this game is set in. And that's important. That ties in very closely to why this is the one that has stuck with me. Because this is not the first time I have attempted to make, or really, in the earlier cases, bastardize my own game. The very, very first time I attempted something like that was the very first time that I attempted running a Dungeons & Dragons game, way back in the early 2000s. It was after I moved back down to San Diego from where I used to live. You know, back when I used to play with my buddy Jim and his stepdad Steve. I had a grand total of 2 books for D&D. I had the Player's Handbook for 3rd edition, which was given to me as a birthday gift by Jimmy. And I had a monster manual from AD&D. 1st edition, I believe it was. But it wasn't the actual full monster manual. It came from the starter box. And I got that from my friend Doug, because it was something that he happened to have. I believe it was just, he found it at a garage sale and bought it for like $1. And this thing, it's about the size of a large comic book, you know. Same dimensions of a comic book, probably about 50, 60 pages. And I don't remember exactly how many. I don't even have the thing anymore, I don't think. It got lost in a move, as so many things do. But with those 2 things, I bastardized a D&D campaign for us that went on for a while, and we were bending rules left and right. You could hardly even call it a D&D campaign, because really, it was a very, very loose interpretation of what that means. But, in any case, that was the first time I attempted it. And then the second time I really attempted to kind of make my own game was with my buddy Jimmy, when, as very young teenagers and great big fans of the Resident Evil video games, we decided it would be a brilliant idea to take Dungeons & Dragons 3rd Edition and the D20 system specifically, and twist that and force that to turn into a Resident Evil role-playing game, which we had a ton of fun with. We really enjoyed it at the time, but looking back on it now, oh my god, was it bad. It was awful. Just fucking awful. And there, since then, had been other attempts to mod the game or create new stuff and this and that, and none of it ever really stuck. None of it ever really kept my attention. And none of it ever really lit that fire in me. And that was with every system I played. And no matter how I tried to mod it, no matter how I tried to alter it, put it together, that spark, that initial flicker of flame, that candle flame that started with, that exciting little candle flame that starts when you're putting together a new campaign or trying to put together a new setting and making your custom rules and this and that for whatever game you're playing, always faded. Even with Savage World, which is still, at least until Palanor's done, which is still my favorite system with my favorite setting, Deadlands. Even that, doing the custom rules and all that stuff, it doesn't hold me in that same way. And I realized why it was. And Savage Worlds is my favorite system because it most effectively, of all the systems I've played, counteracts this problem, but it doesn't do it quite as well as I would like. But yeah, most of the systems that are out there, particularly the big ones, D&D, Pathfinder, really a lot of the D20 systems outside of the OSR, they don't fit what I want to do. They don't fit the kind of games that I like to play. They don't entirely fit me. I still like playing them. I still like running games in those systems. I still do enjoy those systems. But it's not what I'm looking for. And not what I really, deep down, absolutely want to play. And I realized that's, obviously that was one of the goals that I've set at the start with Palanor. It's like, I want to make something that I want to play. But I realized, no, that's not just one of the goals. That's the goal. The goal is to make my system for me. And that's why I feel so driven to do this. I realize that's why I'm so behind this. Why even this, half year of nonstop setbacks, this period where I was doing nothing with this game, like literally nothing for months on end, because I was so wiped out and drained with how crazy things had been at work because of the coronavirus and everything I talked about in the previous vlog. Why was this the one that I was able to come back to? Because this is the one that is for me, by me, for me. And I realized that I had already come to accept that, not only because this is baby's first game. This is baby's first game. Because it is. It really is my first time really sitting behind the controls of that Steam shovel and getting the fuck to work and making this happen. It's not just that, but this game really is me on the page. And I know that sounds possibly a bit silly. That's an analogy kind of taken from chefs. It's you want to play your signature dishes. You want to play. Well, this game is me on the page, in much the same way that the writing for Phoenix Rising is me on the page. And I came to accept a while ago without fully realizing it, that because of that, I'm not looking to really make a killing selling this game. My aim isn't to necessarily get my name out there as a tabletop game designer. My aim isn't to sell a bunch of copies of Palanor and make a bundle of cash, which I don't fully expect is going to happen anyway, because my audience is small. I mean, I'm plugging in, I'm working hard on it, and I would love to see some success come my way with that. But if I don't, I'll be okay with that, because ultimately I'm not making this game for anyone else but me. And that is how I have always been when it comes to my creative endeavors. A lesson that I learned when I was studying fiction writing in college was a very simple one that I know a lot of creatives out there do know, and just as many don't know. Because there's a lot of creatives out there that will just chase trends. And those are the creatives that most often, when I talk to them, don't feel entirely satisfied with what they're doing. And it's a very simple reason for that. And that lesson that I learned was, if you don't like what you're writing, the people that you want to read it probably won't like it either. You need to be invested in what you're doing. You need to care about what you're doing. You need to pour yourself into what you're doing. If it's a creative project, it needs your passion and your drive and your desire. Palanor brought this out of me because it is an extension of a project, of a world that I've already been working on for 12 years. Palanor, the setting of Phoenix Rising, which we only recently named. I made the original Palanor vlog shortly after I came up with the name for it. We didn't have a name for this world before then. But it's a world that I have been playing in for over 12 years. The cast of characters from Phoenix Rising are characters that I've been playing with for over 12 years, with the exception of Caleb and Umbi, who were both much, much newer. Regina was my character from the original 3 games of this setting that we played. Jenny and Ahote were Hare's characters from these games. Malik was one of my characters in a spin-off game we made for this. These are all characters I know well. This is a world I know well. And Palanor is a game that I want to reflect this setting I've built. That setting is me on the page. The comics writing is me on the page. And because Palanor is meant to reflect that, Palanor is me on the page. It is my passion. It's got all of my heart, all of my drive in it, because it's the one I've stuck with already, before it even had a name, before I even considered turning it into its own game. And well after I considered it, and before I started deciding, you know what, it's time. Yes, we're gonna do it. Let's start writing. About a year ago, I started finally writing it. I was pondering doing that for about a year before I actually started it, before I finally realized, like, you know what, there's nothing stopping me but me. Just sit the fuck down and do it. And I'm sure you can hear in my voice, there's passion there. Like, I'm driven about this. I'm excited talking about this with you guys. That's why it's stuck. That's why Palanor. Because this game is the kind of game I've always wanted to play. That's what I'm looking to make. And I'm looking to make it that way because this is the kind of world I've always wanted to play in. It's my ideas coming forward, and that excites me, and I think they're good ideas, and I think it's going to turn out to be something really fun and really enjoyable, even if that fun, enjoyable nature just ends up being for my friends and I. if I'm not able to, even if nobody buys it, I'll still be okay with that, because you know what? This goal of making games, this is a goal I've had since I was 10 years old. This is something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. And it started with video games. And as mentioned, I studied game design for video games, and then very quickly learned that game design classes are kind of bullshit, because I don't actually teach you game design. You're lucky if they teach you a pre-treatise and how to actually do a pitch for a game. Most of them just teach you how to use 3D modeling programs and all that stuff. And the rest, if you want to learn design philosophy and all that, you got to figure it out yourself, which I did figure out. I figured out what my design philosophies are and what I like from playing other people's video games and looking at the elements and saying, oh, I like that. And from running D&D games and Savage World games and Star Wars games and looking at the elements in those games that I liked and taking out the elements that I didn't, and putting together settings and campaigns that my friends and I enjoyed, and trying things and experimenting. And finally, after nearly 25 years of gaming, hitting this point now where I am clear enough and driven enough and invested enough to really sit down and finally make a game for myself. And I want you to take note of what I said there. Make a game for myself. Palanor is for me. Phoenix Rising, I write for me. The stuff I say on this channel, I say for me. My philosophy has always been, make it for myself, put it out there. If I like it and I enjoy it and I stand by it, then other people who like it, they'll find it and they'll listen, and they'll hopefully talk about it too. And I mean, yeah, I've got some people following me now who seem to like what I have to say, and I attribute it to my sticking to that philosophy. I'm not being fake with any of you guys when I'm on here. This is the kind of person I am. This is who I am. And I want Palanor to reflect that. And I realized that after recording that initial version of this vlog. And so that's why I decided not to upload it. That's why I decided to take that break and really stop and think about why Palanor, why this game? What is it about this game that's really got me so invested, that's really gripped me and has me working as hard as I am? That's what it is. It is me. It is what I have always wanted to do. Not just because I've always wanted to make a game, but because this is a world, this is a setting that I've always been passionate about, that I've already been working on for 12 years, it's been a part of my life for a long time. It's the natural fit that I've been looking for so long. For so many previous projects I got an idea, I got excited about it, I tried to work it, and then when that passion faded because it really wasn't the exciting thing I was into, it really wasn't what I wanted, and I tried to force it, the projects would just die, because obviously, they're not what I was actually after. And I realized, this is it. This is the one. And that's why it stuck with me. And that's why I'm sticking with it. And I'm going to see it through to the end. That is why that months-long gap of not feeling up to working on it did not stop me from coming back like it would have with any of the other projects I did in the past. And that's about it, friends and gamers of all stripes. I want to hear from you guys in the comments, as usual. I want to hear what you're working on. Do you have a passion project? What is it? Tell me about it. And tell me why that one. Ask yourself that big question. Look inward and figure out, what is it about this one that really has me excited, that's really got me going forward? That's keeping me stuck to this, if this is something that you're really absolutely invested in doing and seeing through. What about that particular project has that hold on you, the way Palanor has this hold on me? Tell me about it in the comments down below. And you know what? Even if you don't know the answer to that, tell me what you're working on. Tell me about it, get excited about it, and then start thinking about it. And come back in a few days and tell me why then. Whatever the project is, be it a game, a comic, a book, a series of videos, whatever it is, whatever your passion project, I want to hear about it. Because I want to be able to talk to you about it and talk to other people about it and share that excitement. I mentioned previously, that's one of the things I like to do. I like to uplift other creators because I do genuinely think that it is independent creators like us. We are the cutting edge. We are the ones who are really getting out there and being creative and trying to make something new. We're the ones who are really trying to break the mold. We're the ones who are really trying to expand our hobbies and the things we love beyond just the everyday, the root, the expected, the kind of things that the bigger companies out there are putting out. I realized with this too that that's one of the other reasons why I'm not so fond of Dungeons and Dragons anymore, 5th edition in particular, why I'm not so fond of Pathfinder 2 anymore. Because, I've never been fond of Pathfinder 2. Ever since the playtest, I never liked it. It just did not work for me. It was no good. I couldn't get into it. There was way too much about it that I really just couldn't get behind. And these are the reasons, it's just the reason why I ultimately realized was the same reason why I end up being so frustrated with D&D 5th edition. And it goes beyond just the whole not liking the needless shoving in of real-world politics, the wokeness and social justice crap that I find abhorrent so much of the time. And it goes well beyond that. It really is a matter of looking at what they're making and understanding and realizing that there isn't the soul there that I used to kind of feel. There isn't that heart. I don't feel like these games were made by people who are really passionate about the games itself and the world it's set in and everything about it. It has felt more and more, particularly with the bigger names, particularly with Paizo and Wizards, especially D&D and Pathfinder, those two particularly. More and more it feels like these are games that are made just to sell, and there's no problem with that. I don't see anything wrong with that in and of itself, but they're games, I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, but suffice it to say, I don't feel that same kind of passion, I don't feel that same kind of heart in those games, that same kind of soul. I know these are vague terms, these are nebulous terms, but it's that sort of thing where when you read something that's made by an independent designer that really loved what they were working on, that was really into their project, you can tell that they were really into it. You can tell when they poured a lot of work into it and they really cared. I don't get that same sense from the big games anymore. I don't. And that's a big part, I realized, of why I have started turning away from them. I still play them. I still, on occasion, run those games. But I don't feel any desire to buy into those games anymore. I don't feel any desire to give my money to those companies anymore because they're not making what I want. And I just don't really... I don't care about it like I used to. Because the heart is gone, the passion is gone. And I don't think that's the case with the independent guys out there, with a lot of them. Particularly the people in the OSR. Those are some of the most passionate people I've met when it comes to making games. So, once again, yes, tell me what your passion projects are. Be it a game, a comic, a book, movie, series of videos. Hell, even if you're just making a set of chairs because you happen to be a carpenter, whatever it is, whatever hobby you have, whatever passion project you have, tell me about it down below and tell me why it excites you. Let me see that heart. Let me see why it drives you the same way Palanor drives me. And that's it, friends and gamers of all stripes. Once again, my name is GM Dave, and I am your man behind the screen. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave it a like. Comment down below. Again, please tell me what your passion projects are. I really do want to hear about it. I want us to be talking about the things that we enjoy. Not just because I like to uplift people, because I think that's going to help us uplift ourselves in a time when, a lot of people are experiencing a lot of strain and stress. It's good to kind of get away from that and remind ourselves of the things that we really enjoy and really love to do, and talk about those things and share those joys with each other. So let's do that. Open up the description box, follow me on social media, you can find all the links down there. Make sure to follow Phoenix Rising over on Web2, give it a read, it is well worth it. And even though we've been having those problems, I promise you I am going to find a way to get that video and this video up. Follow me over on Bitchute, and keep your eyes open on that description box down below, because at the rate I've been having trouble with Bitchute, it is very, very likely I'm going to start uploading my videos to another site as well. Again, like I said, I'm going to have to look into Rumble, I'm going to have to look into Odyssey, we'll have to see how those do. I've heard that Odyssey has a limit on the number of uploads you can make until you hit a certain number of subscribers or views or something like that, which kind of has me leery, because I am a very, very small creator. So Rumble is probably going to be the more likely choice, but whatever I end up going on, I'm going to leave the links down there and you'll be able to check it out. And yeah, so friends and gamers of all stripes, I bid you farewell. But before I go, I would like to remind you, in this world of tabletop gaming, you do not want to just sit back and watch. Get in there and game.